and this is Kitchen Table Productions, a show all about living well with low carb. Today we're making a great holiday treat, bread pudding. Okay, now I'm starting here with about 5 slices of low carb bread. This particular brand is about 5 carbs each. Now if your bread is very soft like mine is, you're going to want to lightly toast it to remove some of the softness. We want dry bread that's going to soak up the custard that we're going to make. Okay, now while that's toasting, we want to butter our baking dish with about a tablespoon or so of butter. Okay, now with these 4 toasts, I'm just going to butter one side lightly. Just want to get that butter spread out as much as I can. And now I'm going to sprinkle each of these as evenly as I can with this cinnamon. That butter helps to hold the cinnamon on. I'm going to cut each of these into 4 long strips. I'm going to start placing these cinnamon side up into my baking dish. You can leave a bit of a space between them. Just about like that. I've got about half the bread in here. Now if you want to, and if you can afford the carbs, you can add a few raisins in here. Remember, raisins are almost a carb each, so if you're going to add raisins, I'd actually recommend cutting them into half or maybe even quarters so that they go farther. I'd also recommend making this in individual ramekins instead of a large dish like this, just so that you know that those raisins are evenly distributed. Now I'm not going to use raisins today. Instead, what I've got here is 1 tablespoon of sugar-free raspberry preserves. This actually has some fiber in it too, which is nice. I'm going to spread this all around here on my last remaining piece of toast. This will give me that sweet, sour little burst like raisin has. Overall, this will add 2 carbs to the whole dish. I'm actually going to cut this into a little bit smaller pieces. There we go. I just kind of want to get these more or less evenly distributed all over. Now I'm just going to layer the other half of this bread, going the other way. Again, I'm going to dot these about, as evenly as I can get them. There we go, just like that, and now it's time to make our custard. Okay, now I'm starting with 2 cups of heavy cream. I've got it in my pot here over medium heat. I'm going to turn that up to about medium-high. Next, we need sweetness. I need the equivalent of about half a cup of sugar. Now, I'm going to recommend you use a liquid sucralose for this one. Half a cup of sugar is about 24 drops. You can use granulated Splenda, but it will increase the carb count per serving by 3, and it's already high enough as it is. Next, I'm going to add in some of my flavorings. I've got here a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/8 teaspoon of freshly ground nutmeg. There we are. I'm just going to bring this up to a boil, and I want to stir it pretty constantly. That'll help get all those spices mixed in. Alright, when your cream starts to boil, just like this, whoops, I'm going to take it off the heat. Cream can come up to a boil very quickly. And I'm going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Just like that. Alright, next I've got here 2 eggs. I'm just going to beat these with my whisk here until they're, pretty well homogeneous. There we go, that's not bad. Now what I want to do is stir in some of this hot cream mixture I have here. slowly bring these eggs up in temperature. Just by adding a little bit of this cream in at a time. This will help keep the eggs from scrambling. There we go. Now when you've mixed in about 1/3 of the cream mixture into the eggs, we're going to reverse this process and stir the egg mixture back into the cream. This is off the heat. I don't want any more heat going into this right now. Now it's time to pour our cream mix over our bread. I'm just going to do this very carefully here through a sieve. That'll help get any part of the egg that get too cooked out. I want to do it gently so I don't disturb too many of my bread pieces. You can see there's little bits of white that got cooked. There we go. Now, important step here, let this sit for 30 minutes. Give that bread time to soak in the custard. Your patience will be well rewarded. Now while that's happening, get your oven preheating to 350 degrees and heat up a kettle of water. Half an hour's up. It's time for this to go into my oven. You see, I've got this baking vessel placed inside another larger one. I've tipped this corner out here to make it easier to get the water in. I need about 1/2 inch or so of hot water. Just about like that in the bottom of this pan. Now I'm just going to bake this for about 30 minutes until a knife inserted into the dessert comes out clean. Just like that. This dessert is delicious warm or cold. Now as for carb counts, as I made it today, using the low-carb bread at 5 carbs apiece, liquid sucralose, and the sugar-free raspberry jelly, it's just a little over 10 carbs for 1/4. Now granulated sucralose would bring that up to 13 carbs a serving. And raisins, as I mentioned before, would be about 1 carb each if you wanted to use them. Well, obviously, this isn't a dessert for those on induction, but it is a great holiday treat. I highly recommend it. For this recipe and many others, please visit my website, kitchentableproductions.net. I'm Jessica Brevort, and this has been Kitchen Table Productions.